Uh, All right, we're going to get started. We got a lot to cover. First off, this is our first masterclass type webinar. Super excited about it. Finally, we got to this point where we're not covering basic features of Touchpix that was very repetitive in the past. My name is DJ. I've been with Touchpix support now since 2020 or a little bit before. So I do a lot of the exhibits coordination down when we have shows like at the Las Vegas Photo Booth Expo. We're going to be doing an expo in Amsterdam in September. So for those that can make it out there, it's a smaller photo booth expo, but it's the European version. So we're going to be out there September, I believe it's September 29th and 30th. Go to photoboothexpo.com. I think it's /UK, or just do a Google search, Photo Booth Expo UK. You'll find more information on there. Again, DJ with support and also do the exhibits. I got my partner in crime here. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I'm out of California, so I know there's a lot of people from the East Coast, and just wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your evening to join us on this masterclass. And I'll let Julian take it away from here.
Hey everyone, can you hear me? This is Julian. I'm from Mexico, so if you notice a little bit of accent, it's because of that. I have been with Touchpix since 2021, I guess. I don't remember. And I'm part of the support team. I'm on the chats. I'm also in the group, giving some advices. I'm the one that creates tutorials. I'm also one of the people that is attending the expo, the PB Expo in Las Vegas, and we're going to be in the next one in Amsterdam with DJ and part of the team. And I'm here glad to be with you, showing this advanced class in order to show you how to create much better events, much personalized, also to create better galleries for your customers. So hope you enjoy this class with us.
For sure. Thank you for introducing yourself, Julian. We're going to get started now. I know people are going to be jumping in. So this format for this masterclass webinar series, it's going to be a little different from our traditional webinars. We're going to hold questions to the very, very end. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are now well-versed with Touchpix as far as setting up an event and how to actually carry through an event. Maybe not as well-versed with the branding portion, but as far as like loading up an event, either for slow motion 360 or for photo booths, if you're able to do that, this is the class for you. If you need a little bit more of a introduction to Touchpix, I will leave a link, or Julian will leave a link in the chat. Make sure you sign up for the onboarding. The onboarding is definitely going to be the webinar that you will need if you need a little bit more onboarding with Touchpix. This is going to be geared with more, I'm going to say, intermediate to pro level knowledge, or as far as setting up an event, how I do my events personally, because I'm also a multi-op business owner here. I'm also a user. So I set up my events with attract screens, screens that have a fluid transition that look themed for a certain event. I'm going to share some secrets as far as how I do things and how Julian also does things. So I think this class is definitely going to be like useful for a lot of you, and hopefully this class will take you to a different level of designing, different level of just being able to brand a theme or brand your theme, your brand across, so it doesn't look like you're getting a purple screen on one side and then there's like multicolor uncoordinated themes because maybe you weren't aware of how to properly brand it. So some of the stuff that I'll share would be template designs. I know a lot of people use Canva, And forgive me, I'm not a Canva user. I started with Photoshop, so most of my stuff will be Photoshop related, but it's pretty similar to some of the functions in Canva. If you don't have Photoshop, I'm also gonna provide a link to what's called photop.com. It's basically a web version of free Photoshop that you can log in via web page. And it does a lot of the stuff that Photoshop does, at least for designing overlays. You can get away with that using photop.com. You don't need to purchase any additional software. If you're well versed with Canva and you know how to make things transparent, then stick with Canva if that works for you. So it's going to be a jam-packed class with a lot of links, a lot of suggestions. Everything that I'll show you today, you do not have to get. It would be just a suggestion based on how I use it, and I hope it makes sense. I'm going to go into how to design something, like how to design an overlay, how to design a specific screen, because I design not only your attract screen, your experience screen, which is where your buttons fall into place. I also design what's called I call it a transition screen. So when you're going from photo 1 to photo 2, there's a screen in between that, right? Prompting your user that here comes the next picture type of thing. And once you're done with that experience, I use my thank you screen as a printing screen. So I'll also show you, like, instead of saying thank you, I use that as my your photos are printing type of screen. And I'll show you definitely how I use that. It may seem complicated to you guys at the beginning, but I assure you, once you get about 3 or 4 of these down, as far as it's a repetitive process, you can probably do this in less than 30 minutes. Even designing the animated screen, the only software that I would recommend would be, there's a couple, and these are additional softwares to design screens with animation. You don't have to do it with these softwares. You could probably get away with using Canva. For me, it just makes it really easy. I use either CapCut, right? Or I use a software called let me see here. I think it's called Power. It's called Power Director. So I use CapCut or Power Director. Both of these will allow you to customize screens to be able to design from that. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let me see if you guys are able to actually see my iPhone as well. I'm trying to share my iPhone here. So let's go from here. Let's see. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Are you guys able to see my iPhone screen on the bottom right-hand side, or is that not popping up? Yes, can I get a thumbs up, or is that coming out, Julian? The iPhone mirror on the bottom right-hand of the screen, or is that not popping up? Yes, no? Let's try this again. If it's not, I do see it there on my share screen. So, okay. So I'm going to start with a quick rundown, right? Before we start an event, before we start designing an event, I'm going to start from scratch, by the way. That way you guys can understand the entire process, okay? So first and foremost, I don't know where you get your templates, whether you design them yourself, whether you pay a template service to get the templates for you. There's a lot of different options. I want to show you the easiest option to me, which may be a similar experience for you, unless you're a great designer. I lack on the design skills. I'd rather not spend much time there, just because it's not something that I consider myself being really great at. So I do pay for a template service, and I'll share the ones that I use. You can use a couple of them. You can use, let's see here, let me move my screen around. You can use, there's Photo Booth Talk. I'll start with Photo Booth Talk because I've been using this for a long time. This site is a membership site. You can buy them individually, but you'll be spending a lot of money. If you invest on this site for the yearly, you'll be able not only to get some of the start screen templates, but you'll also be able to get the actual template, whether it be a photo strip, a landscape 3-shot picture, which they all look different. This is just the start screens, and you'll get the elements, which means that you'll get it in a PSD file or Canva ready file, so you can separate everything. It'll even give you where to go get the free font. So Photo Booth Talk is a great resource, but lately I've been using this service here, which I also feel is a great value. It's called Template Booth. Template Booth does the exact same thing. It's also a service where you can buy individually, or you can buy, you can do the year membership. I think it's $150 or $100 if you get it on sale. And they'll give you access to all their templates where you can download the resources for Canva ready to go, or Photoshop ready to go. And you're able to be able to alter these. We're going to go through an entire process using these. This is the method I use, something quick and easy. If you look at their, I'm going to also say this. I'm going to go into my website right now so you guys can see how it also gives you a widget, right? It'll give you a widget as far as once you book with your customer and they want to choose a photo booth template, instead of having these back and forth conversations, these template companies or memberships, they'll give you what's called a website widget where you can go over to or input this widget into your website. Are you guys able to see my website here? Yes.
Yes, it's there.
Okay, perfect. So I put it on what's called template design. So the customer, I'll just give them the template design link to my website. The customer will come to this website here, and then they'll get to see all the different template designs. They can either go by strip, they can go by landscape, right? And they can even filter down by category if it's a wedding, quinceañera, anything. There's just so many choices. So for today's example, let's go with a wedding theme, since I want to say a lot of people use weddings. Let's use something that, I feel they also do like mirror vertical style shots. So really whatever you want to use. And they have tons of different designs, tons of different layouts. And the reason why I've been using this one lately is because it's easier. It's easier to start making your screens, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's go with, let's see here. Let's just go with this one here. Okay, so, oops. So this is my widget. So if I was the guest, I'd go into my website. I'd like this. Basically, you input the text that you want. If you have custom colors, you can input custom colors either by hex code or by clicking on this. And whatever the customer puts in here, you're going to receive an email saying your customer just booked a template for their event with all the specific details, right, that you have. And you'll be able to click on the link, download it, and make sure that the text reflects whatever your customer is indicating. In this case, I'm just going to go into the template booth and I'll show you exactly how it works. So I'm going to click on, let's just click on, let's click on this, it's fine. Right, so this here is going to ask you, what do you want to download? I'm just going to download the entire package. And it has some ready for different softwares ready to go. But I'm just going to download the entire package, and let's see how fast I can download these. I believe they're downloaded already. I'm going to unzip it. And this is what I mean. Let me see. Hopefully you guys are able to do this. And once I download this package, let's start with your start screen. Are you guys able to see the folders here, how they're separated? I'm going to go and go with the welcome screen. And then I'm going to do, in my case, I can do either the PNG file or PSD file because it's Photoshop. And it's going to give you two choices. One, if you have a booth that has your iPad in landscape mode. And two, if you have your iPad in portrait mode. And if you note here, it actually gives you the pixel sizes. So these are sizes that I could verify work very well with an iPad that's 10 inches all the way up to 12.9 inches. So this is my go-to size, right? And in this case, I'm going to right click the vertical because my photo booth iPad is in vertical mode. And I'm going to open it in either, you can open it in either Canva or you can open it in either Canva or Photoshop. In my case, it's going to be Photoshop. This is my start screen. I can start editing from here. Let me minimize a couple windows. I can start editing from here, but you're going to wonder, well, I like that font. Where am I going to go grab that font? Well, the beauty of that template service, I'm going to minimize this again. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Here in the documentation area, right? It gives you the links of where to go obtain these fonts. I'm going to highlight that link briefly. I'm going to right click, hit open link. It's going to take me to a web page. This is what the font is called. And I'm going to go ahead and hit download font. And some of these links are tricky, so be careful on some of those links. I want to go ahead and just grab, I don't want the extension, I want the actual font here, which I've never seen a page like this before. Oh, here we go, the download right here. And this is an ad. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. Here is the download file. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to save it onto my desktop. This is for just that one specific font, okay? I'm going to go back to this documentation page. It looks like they're using 3 different fonts. And I'm going to go ahead and download the second font. Right click. Once I highlight it, open link. And once I open the link, this is what that font's called. I'm going to go ahead and hit download. It's also going to be saved onto my desktop. And lastly, Arial, that's the system font. So that's already included with your generic font. So that'll be fine there. So I'm going to now go over to my downloads. I'm going to go ahead and install these fonts on my computer. I unzip the folder. If you guys can see that, there's 2 types of fonts, and I'm just going to install them. I'm going to go ahead and hit install. In this case, it's telling me that I already have that specific font installed. That's why you get that install validation report. So I'm going to hit skip. So it's telling me I have this. I might have used it already on this specific computer. So, I can also hit replace and then it'll install it again. And that's the first font that we have. Then I'm going to go back to, I'm going to close that out, go back to the download folder. This other font here. I know I don't have this other font. I don't recognize the name. And I'm going to go ahead and install this font. Hit install. The font install. So now I can move either onto Canva or I can go into Photoshop. Are you guys able to see my Photoshop screen here?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on the screen.
perfect. So now I can go into my Photoshop. So to create a start screen, what I first do is I delete some of the elements here. You're able to delete them. Like I'll delete everything here on the start side, and I'll delete, let me see what else I got. I'll delete the text for now, right? And then I'll delete, well, I won't delete it. I'll just turn off that layer basically. And I like the wreath there. I'll leave the wreath, and maybe I just to show you how I can just change this, I'll just click on this here. And I can type anything else, and I'll just say Touchpix tutorial. That way you guys get the idea. But I'm also going to delete that for now, because I'm going to show you how I animate it later. So right, so since I have this blank page, what I'll do is I'm going to save this blank page and I'll just export it as a PNG file. Make sure this one says it's JPEG, but I do most of my stuff on PNG. So I will export this element as a PNG file, and I'll call it, let's call it webinar. This will be my start screen, right? Webinar start blank. I title it like this because I'm going to have to take it over to CapCut, where CapCut's going to animate the page for me. So you just, essentially what you're doing now are just the elements, right? So let's go with that. Let's go with, and then once we move from there, you did recall that there's buttons. I don't use any of those buttons, although you can, if you want to use them, you can actually animate them too. I'm not going to go into animation of buttons on this webinar because there's a lot to cover, but you do have those options if you want to go ahead and animate any of these buttons. We'll cover a totally different class on how to do that a little bit later. And let's go with the text. Let's go with the text here. So let me see if somebody's off. Somebody has a live mic. Somebody has a live mic. Can you mute, please? Thank you. So next element after that initial page is whatever you want, whatever this event is here. So you can alter this event. So I'm going to, first of all, just delete all these margins here. And then if you go through a template service like this, you can see that there's two fonts. It says Matthew and Patricia. You can say, I'm just going to change this so you can see how it's done, right? I'm going to just say, I'm going to just Touchpix. Everything will be the same font because you've downloaded the fonts already. So I'm just going to say Touchpix plus, instead of Matthew, I'm just going to change that over to webinar. And then you can even change the date here if that's what you want to do. You know, today is the 26th. And everything, if you do this, this is going to save you so much time instead of paying a designer or designing it yourself from scratch, right? So you have the ability to change everything. So this is just a quick sample here. And what I'm going to do with the text now, I'm going to go ahead and delete everything except the text. I'm sorry. I'm even going to delete the wreath, and I'm going to delete the Masterclass, I believe is what I want to delete. And then I'm just going to save this here as a PNG file. It'll make sense at the end. So I'm just going to save two files, and this is going to be your start screen. Okay. And let's go with webinar start text. Okay, I'm going to save that. I'm going to keep these in my back file. That's all the design I'm going to do for, that's all the design I'm going to do for my attract screen and my start screen. So now let's go into Touchpix, and then I'll show you exactly how things are going to be, make sense. I'm going to go over to events. I'm going to start a brand new event. So that way you can see all the branding from scratch, right? Actually, let me do one thing that I forgot to do here. So let's go back into, let's go back and put the background here. Let's put the wreath back in there. Okay, this is another thing that I do, and this is for like the logo of the event. Once you have your start screen design, what I do is I come in, I grab this rectangular tool, and what I do here is I just highlight this, and I'm going to crop it right there. I'm going to go to image, crop, and then I'm going to save this. So I saved 3 files. And the reason I save this, because this is going to be my my logo for that specific event. You could put it on the gallery at the very top, and it'll all make sense. Logo, gallery. So there's only 3 files that I saved. This will make sense. If I'm losing you, raise your hand and we'll circle back. But again, just know that I made from that template service, I was able to alter the text, alter the design, and I split the elements. One as a blank screen, one with full text. And then on this one, I cut it down and I cropped it into a square for a logo design. And the next step, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to incorporate that to my event. So I'm going to create a new event, and I'm not going to do a preset. This is a Pro Series webinar, and we're going to do it from scratch. So I'm going to call this webinar series 1. Leave it in English. I always like to, for the event description, I always give it a date. If you're running multiple events, it just makes it easier to distinguish what's what. I'm not going to do a start time. I'm not going to do app protection. I'm just going to agree. And we're going to go ahead and create this event quickly. Next step here under sessions, let's keep it as default. I like to turn on the beep sounds. Default for video, I'm going to use just animated GIFs. I'm going to use 2 experiences here. I'm going to use the photo experience, animated GIF, but this will also apply if you're using slow motion or anything like that. Love the fact that we added the retake photo or video option in case there's a mess up, somebody's out of place on frame. You can just hit retake and it'll do it again. You can do a live view background. I'm not interested in that right now. I'm gonna leave this all standard and leave this off. We're gonna go back into session timeouts. Typically for editing, I still zero it out. For my thank you screen, I'll leave it at 3 seconds. My props, it'll be at 0. My attract screen, if I add one, I'll leave it at 15 seconds. Again, this video will be recorded so you can go back and review some of these. If you want to copy my settings, this is just how I do my stuff, and hopefully it'll make sense towards the end. For my camera, I usually do DSLR, but you can do front iPad camera. So it really doesn't matter. Trigger, unless I'm using a 360, I don't mess with triggers, but you can. It's not going to change anything. Motion trigger may deter from your start screen because you have that motion trigger located. I'm not going to go into the 360 mode here. This is more for photo booth and video booths, but the functions are the same. If you add a motion trigger, you can definitely add your custom background here so it doesn't give you the generic Touchpix version. UI customization, I'm going to go ahead and I like the dark mode. As far as showing descriptions, I like the new version of the app, so I like the new gallery and settings tab, but if you don't want to show the gallery and settings tab, you don't need to. This is just the way I do things. And before we go into photo functions, we're going to come back here and design the overlays a little bit later. Video functions, we're going to come back here again, but I'm going to show you here at the under web gallery and branding, right? You name this whatever your event is, Touchpix webinar, Pro Series 1, right? And then this is what I do here for my web gallery setup. Essentially, this is where the text that's going to show up for the user once they enter the web gallery. I actually use a logo here for this portion, and I'll show you how that's going to look. And you may ask, well, where do you input the logo? The logo comes down here where it says upload your logo. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if you remember, I saved that cropped version here that says logo gallery. That's where I'm going to go ahead and input that logo. Typically, if you don't put anything there, it'll probably have the generic Touchpix logo, and you don't want that if you're doing a professional event. You want to theme it. Once I put a logo here, I'll go to the layout portion here, and I'll just make sure that my layouts I'll leave this as is. My layout should be at default. Then I'll go into the background. So typically when you leave this blank, if you go into your gallery via web, you'll see that Touchpix purple, right? And sometimes that throws it off. So I want to be able to have a consistent design that's themed that has all similar screens. So here in the background section of your web gallery, I'm going to go where it says upload background. And if you guys remember, I broke these elements down into three different variations. I'm going to use the blank screen, even though it has a wreath. You're not going to be able to read the text, but it's okay because you just want the main colors of your templates to be able to show. And I'll show you what that's going to look like once I get that there. So that's your Touchpix web gallery setup. And let's go. We don't need repeatable backgrounds because it's already sized to that specific iPad, and it's gonna fit. So let's see. Let's go over to the app branding here. Under the home screen, a lot of people like to put their logos here. I don't. I always like to put the logo for whatever event I'm working, and I recycle some of these. So for that specific logo, I use again the same logo I use for the logo gallery, right? And then we're going to be able to start doing these animations here where it says background screen and upload background gallery screen. For the upload background gallery screen, if you want it consistent with the design theme, again, you're going to use the same webinar blank because that'll be in the back, right? The two that we have to customize for animations are going to be your background screen, and it's going to be your thank you screen, and it's going to be your attract screen if you use one, right? But before we get there and we go to CapCut, I'm just showing you, like, it's probably not making a lot of sense to you now, but just picture this. You need consistent designs that's going to flow through your event, and you're going to need to create three types of those designs. One of it's going to be your logo screen. One of them is going to be a blank screen that's already set to that vertical size, right? And then the third one we haven't really used yet because we're going to use it in CapCut in actually animating our designs. I'm going to backtrack here because we have to go now set up our photo booth overlays. Before I go there, I definitely know that I'm going a little fast, but I want to make sure that people are following. And if you're a little lost, this would be a good time to say, hey, what's going on here? Let's catch up here together. So is this making sense to a lot of people, or are some people a little lost before I move to the next step? How do you guys feel? Is it making sense? Okay, let's move forward. I'm going to go over to setting up the photo booth templates, and then I'll go over to CapCut to show you how to do the quick animation. Actually, let's go to CapCut first. So this is what I'm going to do. Let's see if you guys are able to see. Are you guys able to see my iPhone down here in the lower side?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's go find CapCut here, wherever I have that thing. Let's see. Oops. I never used this with the mouse before, but where is CapCut at? You guys get to see all my apps now. Okay, CapCut. Okay. Okay. So this is what I want to do. I need to airdrop some of these designs to my phone. So let's do that first. And I'm gonna go ahead and airdrop these to my phone. Airdrop. You guys will see them pop up on my phone. That's the first design, and then I'm gonna do the next one where it's the text. I'm going to airdrop. So there's two elements here that I'm airdropping. I'm going to create a brand new one because I'm showing you from scratch. And I'm going to grab them from the photo side. So this is my phone essentially. I'm just using CapCut real quick. I'm going to go ahead and select that element. I'm going to go ahead and add it, right? And the good thing with CapCut here is that, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I don't know if I can. How's the size coming up on your end? Is it okay?
It's a little small, but we could zoom in on our screen.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's allowing me to go bigger. So once you have that first element, this is going to be my start screen here. This is what I'm going to do. What you can do with CapCut here is select the video file here. I have it selected. Then I'm going to go over to the animation side. CapCut has a lot of crazy animations that you can do. Let's go with this first one, Magic Sparks. And you see how that looks? Already, it's already looking better. Let me press it again. You see how that looks? That looks a lot more professional. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Magic Sparks because I like that animation, right? So you're probably wondering, okay, well, it's blank. It doesn't say anything. So what would be the next step for you? Oops, let me delete this here. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in the actual text now, right? I'm going to throw in the text. I'm going to look here. I'm going to look here. I'm going to go where it says, I'm going to go with an overlay here. Let me move it back a little, or let's go here. Right where I want the text to be thrown in, I'm going to go ahead and hit overlay, add overlay. And if you recall, I saved the text as a PNG file here. I'm going to go ahead and add just the text, right? And the text is going to be coming in here. And let me just close this up. And now you can actually animate the text as well, if that's what you want to do. In this case, for me, I'm not going to animate it with that. There's another effect here. Let's see here. Kind of hard to do here with the phone. Oops. Let's try this again. Yeah, it's hard. This one's hard to do with the mouse. It's not this hard if you're just doing it with your phone here, but let's try it again. There's two types of animations. There's one that's called animation, and then there's one that's called effects. That's the one that I want to include. So I'm going to go ahead and hit overlay, select the text only, right? And I can't move this. That's the thing. Typically, I can move this cursor down. Animation. And video. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I'm trying to see how I can move this cursor. Well, maybe this way. Nope, that doesn't do it either.
Yeah, can you try to click and drag a little bit?
Click and drag. Nope. Nope. Not allowing me to do it from the computer because I'm actually have a mouse. It's controlling my phone. So let's I guess the option that we're looking for is called well, that's not it. Well, let's go with animation again, right? Let's see if we can do an animation with it. But the option that you want to use for the actual text is not animation. You want to use it, you want to use the effects tab. I just can't access it with the computer. I can do it from my phone, just not the computer. So let's just use another animation. I'm going to go ahead and use a combo kit here. And sometimes you can do like fade ins, or let's see, something that you think may look good. There's just so many different choices. This is why I really like using CapCut, because it gives you a lot of choices to choose from. Okay, I don't like any of these here. Let's go with in maybe. Okay, let's go with this. Maybe a slide. Maybe let's try this one here. You see how this effect here? Now it's being animated. So now I'm just gonna select this, but you can play around with it. I'm just kind of showing you a quick way of doing it. You can play around with it. So now to see this entire effect, this is how it's gonna look. You see how much more professional that looks, right? And that'll be my start screen. Mind you, I leave it blank because the Touchpix experiences that you choose will give you the option to have the buttons down here, right? So I leave this blank, and all I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit export, and it exported my file extremely fast. And now I just got to airdrop that to my computer. So let's see here. It's probably going to be in my photos tab here. And I'm going to just export this, airdrop it to my computer, which it arrived here. And this, I'm going to call this a start screen. Right? This is my generic start screen. So that's ready. Now what I'm going to do with CapCut is very, very simple. I'm going to go back. Let's get out of here. Let's go back into CapCut. How do I go back out of here?
Try with escape.
Yeah, I tried that already too. There's a couple of things I gotta. I mean, just close that and we can go from there. Okay, let's go back. This is a cool feature, but sometimes it doesn't let you control it that well. So, okay, let's go back into CapCut. We started with the start screen. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the same thing here. I want to duplicate this. And once I duplicate it, I'm going to go ahead and open it again. And now I'm going to work on what I call an attract screen. So from this moment on, what you can do with the CapCut app is add your font and make it an attract screen. So I'm going to add a text, right? And from the text file here, you can go ahead and let me see if it'll let me. Okay, that'll let me for sure. So here I can use these types of letterings here, any type of font, anything that you feel will match your anything you feel that will match your template, right? Let's just kind of keep on going. There's a lot of different options. This is the beauty with CapCut. Like, you don't need to pay anybody to animate any of your templates or a template service. But, once you have this stuff down, you can definitely pick out what you want. So let's go with, we're not going to do any of this. Let's go with one of the first ones. So this one here, you can probably do a font selector here because it also gives you fonts that are and you can actually even do a style too. I need something with a darker font. Let's use. This is just to give you an example. Okay, let's just use something basic to give you an example. And then you can change this, right? So it can say touch to start. You can resize it just by dragging. And all of this is done via cell phone. So it's a lot easier actually to do it from your cell phone than to do it from a computer, how I'm showing you. This is just the only method I had to show you and mirroring this. So here it is, right? And then what you can also do with this is you can animate it if you want. So you can play it back. This will be your track screen, right? Let's play it. You can start this a little later. You can give it a delay. There's so much options that you're able to do. But I'm just giving you examples that, okay, let's just kind of play with it and see where it leads. There's actually, if you double click on it from your phone, it actually allows you to control the speed of how fast the letters come in. I'm not able to do that from the computer, it looks like, just because for whatever reason, it's just a little more difficult doing it from the computer. So this will be my track screen, and I could just export this as well, right? And then I'll name this my track screen, right? So now I have two screens. You guys are probably gonna see that I do this quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate it again. And from here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna rename this one so I don't get confused. This following one is gonna be my transition screen. So when it takes photo one, you want to transition to photo two, you're gonna see exactly how I do it. Come on. So this one here, I'm gonna go ahead and blow it up. And okay, so I don't want the text anymore. So now I can delete the text. I could probably delete, let's delete the overlay. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the overlay. Right. I'm just gonna leave the wreath there, but you'll get the idea. So this will be my transition screen. And what I want to do here is go over to, man, I'm trying to figure out how I go back and use what's called stickers. There's a tab here that's called stickers that has actually an arrow. Let me see if I'm able to. That's not it. Probably gonna have to go off here and let me see if I can show you. I'm gonna go ahead and kill this this screen share so I can do it a different way. Because it's not letting me use it with the actual screen mirroring. So bear with me here. Let me see here. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna show it a different way. Let me see. What is the meeting ID here, Julian? Let me see. Oh, 831. 20. If you can make that iPhone Pro, Julian, oh, let me see here. If you can make that iPhone Pro so I can share screen like a co-host. I think it may be easier if I just use it via the iPhone. Let me see. Okay, got it. Sorry about that. Just that screen mirroring didn't work too well. Okay, so I'm now using it from straight from the iPhone. So I'm going to CapCut again. How do I get rid of that? Okay. This is the one we were working with. So down here, there's a tab that's called sticker. Usually my transition screen, I'll use some type of arrow. So you can even search here where it says arrow. And it'll give you all the arrow options. Let's just use this arrow here. And then what I'll do is with my hand, I'll just twist it, enlarge it, right? And drop it right in there. So it's going to look something like this. And all I do now is go back down, hit text. And I'm just using any random color now, just so I can speed things up a little bit. But you can say, this will be my look at the camera. Position it where you like. And position it there. Hit OK. And what I can do from this point on is also animate the text just by selecting the text. And you can give it an animation. And this will be my transition screen. So it'll look something like this. Right. So as you can see now, things are looking a little bit more fluid. It's no longer take one picture, have your purple Touchpix screen. That's usually the default one, right? Kind of throw things off. Now everything looks so much, it looks just more fluid, more professional. And I think this here in itself it's just huge. Let me see, did I do my animation here? I did. Let's go back to animation. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this. I usually rename them. It's important to rename them because you want to know what's what. So this is my transition. Oops. That's my transition. This other one is my attract, right? And then finally we're gonna go to the printing screen and we're just gonna slap it all together. I promise you guys it doesn't take this long. It's just a process of showing you. It's what it's taking a while. This, when you get it down, you shouldn't have spent more than a half hour on doing this once you get pretty fast at it. So again, what I'm going to do here is open up a different, I want to duplicate a different frame here. Once I duplicate that frame, this is going to be my printing screen. That's my transition. And to erase everything, you just have to erase the elements. Right, I'm going to leave that there. The arrow I'm going to delete. And instead of deleting the text, what I'm going to do is just edit the text. And you can edit to ozone printing. Oops. All right, here we go. And then it's going to have a similar animation for the lettering. Or you can change it up. Let's see what we can do here. Animation. We're going to do a similar one there. See, on this one here, if you press it again, let's do that one. Okay. And now what you can also do here is go over to your sticker and then just type in printing or printer. And you can use any of these printers here. Let's just use this one here. You can actually make it bigger. Right? I'm going to leave that printer there. You don't need the 10 mark. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to animate the printer. I'm going to make it go into a loop, and I'm going to give it that wiper effect. So once you do that, oops, here we go. It's going to look like this. All right. So those are the screens that you need. And instead of a thank you screen, this is my printing screen. And don't you guys think that looks a lot better than the traditional flow of things? You can personalize it. And I'm going to export that. And I think that's all we need. So let's just want to make sure that you rename it. We're going to put all this together and we're going to actually see it in action. So let's go ahead and go printer. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and airdrop them onto my Mac. That way I can easily. So let's go with that one set. Oops. That's the transition. See a track. Any questions so far on this? Did I lose a lot of you, or is it making sense?
Still here, pretty creative way of using your screens and your transitions.
Yeah,
Like it.
you know, thank you for that. It's not as easy as it appears, because there's some technical stuff, I guess, that can get a little bit better. But these screens are meant for your designs to be cohesive. So I'm just going to rename them here as well. Once you airdrop them, you're always going to get the original name. So I'm going to rename it to printer. I got my start screen. This one is.
I know
I'm gonna
DJ
rename-
is using the
Uh-huh.
cell phone to create the screens. I also use CapCut, and I will recommend to you if you are interested in learning about this, and if you plan to do this stuff. CapCut also has a PC or MacBook version, so it's easier there because you can control it more precisely, because DJ was doing in the phone, but actually you have also an app that you can use in the computer. So you
Okay.
have, yeah, you have that part, and it's if you are related to some edit softwares, you will find it pretty useful. Also, I use it a lot.
Yeah, nice. I was actually not even aware of that. So, I've just been so used to doing it from my phone. So, yeah,
Yeah,
nice. That's good
it's
information to share.
it's the faster way. If you are running out of time, you can do it because it's super easy. But also you have the thing in the computer that makes it easy for you, because I
Nice.
use it for the tutorials. So I'm related to that version of CapCut too. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great info. So, okay, so now we're going to go back and incorporate this. And I guess we're going to do the overlays last, because I don't want to lose you. So what I'm going to do here now, we're back here to the app branding portion. This is where you brand most of your flow. So in that branding, we already gave it a blank PNG, which is great. And we want that app background. This is where the buttons live, right? We're going to go ahead and click app background. And I called this, what did I call this? It's under downloads here. Maybe I didn't do that one. That's the one that I didn't do. Okay, no problem. We'll do it real quick. So yeah, I didn't do that one. Let me go back and show you what I'm gonna do here. Let's go back into the app, and I'm gonna go ahead and just create a brief one real quick. That way you guys can see exactly. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go back. I forgot to create one screen, and I think the screen that I forgot. Oh, it's here. I just didn't send it over. Okay. So let me send it over then. I just didn't rename it. This is what's important to rename some of your files. I believe it's this one here. Yeah, here we go. And airdropped it. It's good to go. And okay, now let's go back into the computer. Okay, here we go. So this is the I would rename this to experience. Okay. So my app experience screen, I'm gonna go ahead and select it. I can drag it on here. Once everything is ready, you can see it's uploading the file. Then we go down and make sure I didn't skip anything. Yeah. The thank you screen. Again, just remember that the thank you screen that I use is I use it as a printing screen. So just remember that, right? So my thank you screen would be here. It's the printing screen that I use, and I'll show you the entire flow shortly. My in-between screen, that's the one with the arrow pointing up. I call it a transition screen. It's loading that. And then I'm going to show you the track screen. Right. So now I have all of these screens available. And I'm going to see if it allows me to actually. Let's see, we did the web gallery. We changed some of those. Okay. Template. But the only thing we haven't done is the actual templates, which we will get to. But I'm going to see if I can actually activate an event on my phone here. Give me a second here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Touchpix app so that way you guys can see what's going on. And I'm going to go to my QR code. So I'm going to go ahead and activate. You guys can't see this, but I'm going to scan into the event briefly. So it's going to look a little weird on my actual phone because it's a phone. The dimensions I made these graphics were for anywhere from an iPad 10 all the way to 12.9. It would look great. But because it's a phone, it's going to look a little different. If I was going to do it on the phone, I would use different dimensions. Let me just share my screen again. Here we go. Okay. So this is my start screen. I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick session. I know it's going to use the default. It's going to use the default Touchpix overlays for now, but at least it'll give you an idea. So I'm going to go ahead and hit. I'm going to hit photo. You can still change the photo buttons with Touchpix. Next, not the next webinar, but we'll show you guys how to animate the buttons and how to customize them with animations as well, if that's what you guys want to do. But I feel like now you guys can at least play with the buttons and how to change the colors and things of that nature. So let's just simplify things as far as experiences go, just so it'll look a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and turn off slow-mo, video, boomerang. And then as far as camera functions, I'm going to leave it as is. So these are my two choices here. Looks a lot cleaner. If I hit photo, it's going to take the photo, right? Once it takes the photo, right, check out the transition screen should come in next. See, look at the camera. Everything's flowing like the way it should now. There's a second picture. It'll say, look at the camera. And the last picture here. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. That was my email. Let's do it one more time. There's your transition. And again, this is meant for the iPad, not the iPhone. That's why it looks a little off. Processing media, and then you'll see the printing, whether you print it or not. You hit OK. Your photos are printing. And we're back to the beginning, right? So if I leave this on for about 15 seconds, which is what I have it on for, you're going to see my attract screen. This is your experience screen where people come and select their either photo or GIF experience. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. And now you see, now that's the attracts screen. Press to start. I think that might be a little bugged because the buttons are not supposed to be showing there. So that's maybe something we can relay to the development team here. And once you press it, it'll now take you to the experience screen. So, I mean, this is just a quick way of doing your own designs without having to pay an external design creator on how to do that. So I know this is, yeah, go ahead.
Can you also go to the part where you change the buttons?
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, just to to match it, because you have buttons in the
Got it.
files that you have, so it's easy.
We're going over to the app branding, and this is where your buttons live, right? You can definitely change your text if you want on the button. And right now it's black, as I can see. What I'm going to do here is select. Let me see here. You can use the chooser here and pick a color. Maybe I want it a little lighter. Oops, that was the wrong thing to do.
You're making it transparent.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You have to move the one in the top.
Here we go.
Exactly.
So maybe we'll make the top black, and then we're gonna make that button block different. So that button block will make it oops. We'll make it so this is where you will have to play with your design a little bit. Just because I did add that bottom text onto my template, I suggest maybe just playing with the design. What I mean by that is my original design, I wrote Touchpix Masterclass, and I think that's interfering with whichever method I would use. So if I didn't add that masterclass, then I think it'd look a lot better. But just to kind of do an overview of where to go to make your buttons, you're going to have to come into the app branding section. You're going to go down to button design, or you can go to button design. I'm sorry, button text and fonts. And by choosing either button or the text, you'll be able to make changes as to what the button colors are. In this case, it's easier to do it from, for me, it's easier to do it from the Touchpix web interface in the event creator. I'm doing it from my phone now, and I was able to navigate through. But also be mindful that as your buttons are going here, when you make your design, you probably don't want to add text in the bottom, or else they're going to conflict like mine. Right. So just kind of giving you a heads up on that. And let's see how that looks here.
And also remember that you have the ability to use your own PNGs if you want it. So you can upload any image, so you can change the appearance of this. Okay. I
And
don't
what
know
do you
if
mean? What he means by that too is that's a great point, and I should be able to show you guys that here. So when you're going to your app branding, let me see here. You can actually add your own. You can add your own buttons. You don't have to use the standard button designs. You can add your own buttons here, PNG files. If you want to make sure, like say you want your photo experience to be like a picture of a flower, just make sure they're PNGs. That way it doesn't have a background attached to it. So you can do that here. Again, it's easier to do the positioning of the buttons here, right? Because you have more control from the computer versus your phone. So this would be the spot where you would do that and kind of go from there. Lastly, what I want to show you is the overlays, right? How to do custom overlays to match your theme. Again, it's very similar to what I just showed you on I created this. If you're using a template service such as Template Booth or Photo Booth Talk or Pick Studios, whatever you choose, you're going to want to go into either the not the PSD files, but the PSD files. If you're using Photoshop, you can use the PNG files as well, but it gives you a bunch of different options. I'm just going to show you the way I do things with like a 3-shot template. It looks like there's nothing available here. Let me see if I can get another. Let me see if I can get another similar. Similar. Okay, so let's go with, no, that's not it either. Sorry, I have my stuff a little mixed up here. Just trying to see which one we can use here. It's not it either. Let me see. All right, let me take a couple questions because I do need to take a quick little break real quick, Julian. I need to turn something off real quick.
Okay.
If anybody has questions, please.
I see one question here, and it says that if you only have one photo template, can you get the look at the camera before the countdown? The answer is no, because the first photo will always be directly, but you can maybe change or create a countdown that could say, look at the camera. Okay. There's a video in the YouTube channel that was recorded by Martin that you can create countdowns, you can create animations with a website that is named jitter.video. Okay. Martin is explaining very well how this works. So maybe you can create that file to say, look at the camera instead of just simply, start a countdown. Or you can do both. You can do the countdown, and you can have like an arrow or something pointing in the camera direction. Okay. Was that clear, Loretta?
Okay, I found a folder here that will work. It's similar to the one up, I guess, up above. Sometimes these template services will give you a bunch of different services. It'll give you either the single strip. It'll give you the popular 3-shot. And I guess this is what I'm going to show here. I'm going to open this up with Photoshop again. And as you can see, I have Photoshop open. This is a completely different design. And what I want to show you here is initially let's see, you turn that off. Let's pretend that this is your new design. It'll give you the elements where you can actually change all the names as well. If I wanted to, if I wanted this called Touchpix, it'll give you the design elements for you to do that. Everything can put capital here. So nope. Let me see here. Where is that tool? Let's leave it at that. But
Anybody,
it does gives you.
anybody else having a question? Sorry, DJ.
It's okay. So let's just say this, right? This is what I wanted to show you. That is, I think it's an essential tool for anybody who wants to do any type of overlay. And you say you want to do an overlay and you want to have your pictures anywhere. I know people struggle with aligning the picture placements sometimes, and this is the way I think is it'll just kind of level you up to doing and creating templates where you can get the picture to fit perfectly anywhere within a template. So I'm just going to save this here, right? Let's save this file here. I'm going to export it as a let's export it as a overlay, 4x6 overlay, right? And oops, it says JPEG. No, I did PNG. So let's do this. Let's do a 4x6 overlay. And let's save it onto the desktop. Let's go over to, and it also applies for strips. Maybe you have like a strip that looks something like, maybe your camera's mounted vertically and you're doing a strip that looks like this. It also applies to this. And I'll use that as an example, just so you guys can see how it works with anything. And because I do know some people have creative ways. Oh, one thing is important that I didn't do. Some of these templates are not sized correctly. So if you go to image size, right? If you're using a Touchpix template in Touchpix, this needs to be 620 by 1844. It's a small change here, but it makes a big change in the software. So make sure if you're doing a single strip, is 620 by 1844. If you're doing landscape, it is 1240 by 1844. I want to save this, and then we're going to use this as an example here, how to custom place your strip template. And lastly, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to close out all these windows because I'm not going to use them anymore. And then the strip template, I'm just going to open it with Photoshop. And I'm going to open Touchpix here. We're going to go into, let's go into the photo booth overlays, go into the designer. We're going to do a photo overlay. We're not using any of these presets because we have a custom template. And our custom template appears to be a single strip, 620 by 1844, just how I outlined that, right? Once I get here, what I want to do is go to custom templates. I want to just throw 2, and I'm going to throw 1. My style is I always like that second photo to be up top, first photo to be at the bottom. People always struggle with these placeholders, trying to like align their placeholders, and these are not these are not the best. So this next tip is another pro tip that people should know about is, for example, you can do this in Canva or you can do it in Photoshop. When you load it up on Canva or you load it up on Photoshop, what I'm going to do here is get the magic wand and select this top rectangle here. Automatically, once you select this top rectangle here, if you look here to your right, you're going to see the coordinates of where this square is exactly 481, 70, 718. So just know that that top square, these are the coordinates within the Touchpix app, right? Once you have your coordinates and you want to align photo 2, you're first going to select photo 2, then go to layer design. You're going to take away the aspect ratio location. And now under X, we're going to copy these coordinates, 70. Y is 47. W is 481. And the height is 718. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And you see it actually made it to the specific coordinate. So now I'm going to go back to Canva or Photoshop. I'm going to use the same magic wand tool on the bottom square. Just click on it. It highlights it. And now these coordinates are different. Now you're going to go back to Touchpix. Your photo 1, you're going to do the same thing and copy the disengage the aspect ratio. You're going to copy the X 69, Y is 800, W is 482, and height is 718. And now we're going to save it. If this is the template style that I'm going to use a lot, a 2-shot template, what I do in this case, once I have it set to this, I go up here and hit save preset, and I'll say it's from temp booth 2-shot strip. So I don't have to do this coordinate stuff anymore. It'll just save it as is. And once it's saved, I could go over to upload PNG, go to my desktop. Here is that strip here file. Go ahead and hit open, upload, and you're going to see that everything fits perfectly. See that? You don't have to mess with moving the photo placements and them being kind of different from one another. It fits the square exactly. All you do from here is hit add to event and you move forward to your next template. You can do that with any template. And if you look at my my history here, and I'll show you that, it's because this is a more advanced class. In load preset, right? These are all my presets that I've used in the past. Your more recent ones stay up here up top. I have some for trading cards. I have some for keychains. But what I want to show you is, you know, I've purchased some stuff from Etsy before, so this is like my Etsy template. Some of it comes from Template Booth. These are the designs. Some of it comes from Photo Booth Talk. So I have everything preset, so I don't have to mess around with these coordinates anymore, with the XY coordinates. All I have to do is just swap the overlay, depending on where I buy it from, and you know it'll work in that quick fashion now. So it's a quick load fashion. So I don't know if you guys have any questions with this method. Did that make sense? The coordinates make sense for you guys?
Yes, that's
Nice.
actually a pretty good idea of how to find them. Didn't
Yeah,
ever think
so
of using that.
yeah, there's a lot of options that Touchpix gives you. So I always recommend when you're creating something, instead, especially if you're creating something within the designer, it's always recommended that you save your preset first. That way you don't have to start from scratch. And once you save your preset, it's just a matter of making the necessary tweaks on your design, and you're up and going quickly. Some people don't save them, or some people don't know about the option to save your presets, and sometimes it'll take them longer to redesign something if there's a small little error that they made on their overlay.
I've
DJ,
always seen that, never knew what it actually was for or what it meant.
Yeah, no, nice. And this is kind of what we wanted to show. These webinars, there's a lot of hidden features or features that people are probably not aware of that we want to be able to highlight now on how to navigate through Touchpix and why certain features work a certain way. So for me, once I'm doing strips, I always like to have my later pictures up top, my initial pictures in the bottom. You may have a different workflow, but do whatever works for you. And we're just trying to be creative and showing you guys how to kind of navigate through the software and how to just maximize your time and be able to showcase like your brand or your client's brand uh, without having any types of interference or things that don't make sense, like that purple touch picks page, the transition for me. That's something Julian and I were hoping that came out a long time ago, but we understand that it sometimes takes a little bit of time for some features to come out. But once you able to brand it cohesively and you're able to showcase your designs and everything makes sense, then it makes the app so much more easier to work with, and it makes you just look so much better than it did before.
Totally agree. Thank you.
So, I mean, we showed you guys how to brand it, let's go into the web gallery now, since I do have this event, and I think we'll end with that, just so you guys can wrap your mind around exactly why I did things a certain way. And I'm glad I took some test pictures because this is the webinar series. So now if I go to my gallery and I go to my public gallery, you see how this was the background design here? And then you see why I used the logo up here for that specific event. So all of that was created just by utilizing the elements from the temp booth. You know how I separated my start screen, I separated a blank screen, and I separated a logo screen. So this is why it makes sense to be able to brand it. I could have left the lettering in here. Sometimes when this is full of pictures right now, it looks a little odd because there's only one strip here. But by the end of the night, there's probably going to be about 30 pictures. So you're not going to even see the lettering down here anyways. This is just gives it that background effect. That way everything is so cohesive when you're moving from one screen to a different screen. If you tap on the gallery screen, everything looks the same. Same thing applies if you're using a TV slideshow. If you're using a TV slideshow, you want to brand it exactly the same or very similar to. So the only difference with the TV slideshow is if you're using it, you're able, the thing that I love about the TV slideshow is that you're able to also use a custom background, and you can use the same custom background as I illustrated here with the public gallery, if that's what you want to do. That way everything looks the same. The key thing is we want to get the pro level users or intermediate level users to actually test their events before they go to the events. I understand people are often strapped for time, but Julian and I work support, and sometimes we get called on the support side with the chats saying, my screen looks like this or my screen looks like that, because they haven't taken the time to go through the elements and loading up the proper artwork.
yeah.
So it's very important. If you want to look professional, take the time. And trust us, like it may seem time consuming now, but once you do 4, 5, or 6 of these, the process gets very easy and it's streamlined. You can set up an event quickly. Like I think I'm down to like setting up a completed event like in 10 minutes or something like that. But you guys will get very quick at it if you guys do it correctly. But always test. Always test to make sure everything's good and all your artwork is properly loaded. Is there anything specific that you guys wanted to comment about what was shown today? I know we covered a lot with the branding side. We want to do more Pro Series webinars. more master classes of this type of these types of features also on the slow motion side. But we did cover the branding portion. We gave you a lot of information as far as where to get your artwork if you're wanting to not design them completely, at least to get the elements. I think that'll save you a lot of time. Yes, it is an investment, but I think it's an investment that's well worth the money because it also helps your website and streamlines your guests from picking, from choosing the templates that they're wanting to use. But again, we're here to help. And Julian, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else or just open it up for questions for a little bit.
Yes, DJ, I want to show, I'm gonna share my screen. If you allow me, let me do, because I want to show something that it's new and maybe you're missing. Let me show you here. Let me know when you watch my screen, please. Okay. Let me know when you watch it, please.
Yeah,
We can see your
good.
screen.
Okay, perfect. So here in the web gallery branding, where DJ explained all the things that you can load, the logo, the background, change the theme. Okay, there's also something that you can change here. That is the custom fab icon. So if you don't have these, okay, what will happen is that, let me refresh my website. This is the gallery. Can you see the icon here in the top? That is like
Yes.
squares. Okay. So now with that option, you can look for the icon on your computer. Okay. Let me remember where it is. Is this one? So you can load it. Okay. In this case, it's my logo. It's one part of my logo. And I will refresh it. Now you see that it changed.
Nice.
You see the logo? So that part is new, is something new. Okay. And
Let me
also,
let me ask you this, Julian. How did you get your logo in that format?
okay, I made it in Photoshop and I export it in a square format. Okay.
Yeah,
And
got it.
just it's a PNG and I in internet I just convert it from PNG to ICO and that's it. That's
So
the
you
way that I
use
get it like that.
so they can know if they decide to do this, they'll design it either on Canva and in Photoshop, and they'll design it to the specifications down below of 64 by 64,
Mhm.
save it as a PNG file, and then they can do a Google search. And from the Google search, they can look for a PNG to ICO converter, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Okay,
Perfect.
and something else, I know that there's people like DJ that DJ has their the website, okay, and you want to brand the gallery and you don't want this thing to appear in the top and you want it more, you know, according to your website and keep it that part, you can embed the gallery in your website. Okay, where you can have the embed code, you will have to go here into web gallery sharing methods. Okay, and you will find the code here. Okay,
Okay, that's
so you
great,
can
and
copy the code.
that's another great tool. So
Yeah.
if you have a website with an open gallery page, you can embed that URL code for that specific gallery because every gallery is going to have a different embedded code. And you
Mhm.
could either throw it on your website with the password protected access or leave it open if that's what you wish to do.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's another way to customize and make it more professional. If you have a website, you can embed the gallery and make it, much better for your customers.
I do want to say this for people that have their websites and choose to embed the gallery, it's actually a great idea because everybody wants to score higher on their SEO, right? And if you have a lot of traffic going to a certain page on your website, that's definitely going to increase your SEO score and your visibility.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Any questions about this or any other thing that the DJ covered?
Was this a helpful webinar for you, for a lot of you? I just kind of, it's hard to gauge sometimes because I know people are at different levels of using Touchpix. And I definitely want to be able to, we want to be able to provide more of these. And, you know, sometimes I understand there's a lot of questions and sometimes there's no questions, which means that everybody captured the information. Nice. Yeah, again, we're going to be doing more pro level webinars. If there's any specific subject that you guys want to learn about, let us know because we're going to be covering a lot. We're going to be covering DSLR scenarios, connections, quick access to DSLR. We're going to be covering, you know, print pics, just because it's part of our ecosystem and how easy it is to navigate through print pics. Wired, I use a wired print pics printing method, which allows you to connect to your iPad with a wired Ethernet cable, but also allows the iPad to use the Wi-Fi to be able to send out stuff when connected to any hotspot, not necessarily the PrintPix hotspot. So we'll be covering a lot of different areas that I just want to be able to showcase that when we're ready to do that. We are working on a new PrintPix release that may be coming out soon. We're doing some testing. The PrintPix release, you know, it'll just be a newer version, no longer if it needs a reprogramming or rebooting, it does it on its own now. It's over the air with the internet. So I think it's going to be a game changer for people that sometimes struggle with wireless printing. And just know that there's no foolproof way. Wireless printing and wired printing are completely different. Wireless printing depends on your environment, internet connection. Wired printing is a little bit more secure, in my opinion. It just gets the job done quicker. But we'll have more to come on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
And thank you all for the polite comments. And it seems like everybody really took something out of this webinar. This will be posted in the Touchpix YouTube official webpage within 48 hours. It could possibly be up there as quick as tomorrow. But sometimes when we download this content, it's the upload onto YouTube that takes a little bit of time. With that being said, we're gonna have an English webinar. It's every other Thursday. We alternate from English to Spanish because we also have a huge Latin America user base. So next week would be our Spanish Pro Series webinar, and then the week after that, which will put us at, let me see here. It's gonna put us at, where's my calendar?
It's going to be like July 10 or something like that. Yeah, July the 10th.
All right, we'll see you guys July 10th. Always feel free to use the Touchpix user group on Facebook to request assistance for webinars or ideas for webinars. If you guys want to learn something new, the developer is heavily involved in this whole process. So, you know, the more you guys post about what you guys want to learn about, you know, that'll rank higher on our next webinar. So definitely, you know, we appreciate you guys taking the time. Like I said, I know it's probably late for a lot of you on the East Coast. Again, this is for you, how to expand your business, how to make it how to make it more professional looking, and all the options that you guys have. Anytime you guys need any assistance, feel free to reach out via, I'll put my email on here. Julian will put his email on here if you guys need some assistance. But you know, if you guys are pressing and need immediate assistance, it's always great to go into touchpix.com, open up a chat, If one of us are on, we'll gladly take over the chat and help you out. But if not, they'll relay that message to us, or if they can help you, they're also very knowledgeable and trained to help you on any type of Touchpix matter. So definitely, again, thank you guys for staying on, and we appreciate you guys as customers. And hopefully we get to meet you guys at the Photo Booth Expos coming up. If you guys decide to go, if not, we'll meet you out somewhere when we're running around the nation. I think we're planning on doing a little bit more shows, hopefully, and hopefully we can come to a show near you where you guys can show up and check out our new stuff.
Okay.
When I taste it.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, DJ. Thank you, everyone.
That's good.